Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Jenny. I'm from Jenny-Carddesigns. Thanks so much for joining me today. My YouTube channel contains content that is intended to share paper crafting tutorials and inspiration with all of you. I hope that you enjoy. Today's video, I've got another Chop It Up inspired project for you. I'm going to be using my Jen-Velope template reference book to help me create a slimline card project, and I'm going to get a coordinating card out of this project. My template book is designed to help you create. It is full of measurements for different style cards, boxes, tags, and things like that. All the measurements have been worked out for you. You just have to flip to the project that you're looking for and follow the template guide. And that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to start off by flipping through one of my Christmas paper packs, and this is a vintage paper pack that I picked up from Michael's last year. And this is a 12 by 12 paper pack. It is well loved. I've used a lot of patterns out of this particular pattern paper book. I just love the vintage style designs. So I've picked out this gorgeous snowflake background. It's a very muted sort of aqua teal tone, and I think it's beautiful. So we're going to start by cutting this 12 by 12 cardstock down to 8.5 inches by 11 inches. We need to start with a standard letter size piece of cardstock. So I'm going to cut down to 8.5 inches and keep that strip off to the side, and then I'll flip it around and cut it to 11 inches. So far I have a sheet that measures 8.5 inches by 11. I also have a little scrap, and then I have this longer piece, and I'm going to cut this down to 3.5 inches by 8.5 inches. I'm going to trim off that little branding strip there, so I'm going to have a piece that measures 3.5 inches, and then I'm going to flip it and cut it at 8.5 inches. So this will be a perfect card front for the front of my slimline card base. I'm going to grab a regular piece of cardstock that measures 8.5 inches by 11, and across the 11-inch side, I'm going to cut it down to 7 inches. So this is going to create our card base, and that little scrap of white I'm going to use later on. We'll come back to that. So I'm going to pop this piece in my scoreboard across the 7-inch side, and I'm going to score at 3.5 inches. Okay, and I'm going to flip it over because this is a nice, thick, heavyweight cardstock. I want to score it on both sides so that I don't get any cracking. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to grab my bone folder and I'm going to crease the folds so I get a nice sharp crease. And because this is so thick, I want to make sure that it's creased very nicely. Okay, so this card base measures 8.5 inches by 3.5 inches. So that's what we're going to be working with today, and this panel fits perfectly on the front. I'm going to trim that down later on, but you don't have to. Okay, so next up I'm going to grab my pattern piece of paper, and now because this has like texture, it's got like some embossing on it, I'm going to flip it over and score on the back side. Now I have the wrong template out. I eventually do get it together. This is the mini slimline. I don't want the mini slimline. But we're going to do the right measurements here. So across the 8.5 inch side, I'm going to score at 2 inches and then again at 6 inches. Now you want to be very careful here. I press too hard. I know that I press too hard. I flip the cardstock over usually when I'm scoring pattern paper just to help avoid any cracking and things like that. And I cracked it anyways. I'm going to show you what I did here. I look at it and I was wondering, should I just toss it? And I thought, no, you know what? Everybody probably does this and you want to find a way to fix it. So I'm going to just go with it and we're going to fix it. Okay, so I have now scored the first 2 scores. Now I'm going to rotate my cardstock to the 11-inch side, and I'm going to score at 1 inch and 10 inches. Now this is where I realized that I had the wrong template out and I had to go search because it didn't make sense when I was scoring. And so, you know, home stretch, I finally figured it out. But all right, so 8.5 inch side, you score at 2 and then 6. On the 11-inch side, score at 1 and 10. Okay, so that's going to be it for scoring. We're going to be all done. Oh, I'm just going to flip it over to make sure that I get good score marks. I'm being very delicate at this point because I've already completely damaged my project and I'm not sure if I'm going to save it. Okay, so I grabbed some regular Scotch tape. And I grabbed the good stuff, not the cheap stuff. I grabbed the good Scotch tape and I just ran it right across that crease, and voila, it's like it never happened. Nobody's ever gonna know. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my scissors and I'm gonna follow along my template guide, and I'm gonna cut off the little side flaps. This is step number 3 and 4 in the template guide. And then I'm gonna crease all the folds. So I'm going to gently, very gently, crease all of the folds on this pattern paper. And then here, you'll notice you can't even tell where I kind of ruined that envelope. So that's really awesome. Now, you'll have a small flap and a large flap. We're going to apply adhesive to the larger flap on the little sides and fold it up and press it in using my bone folder to make sure it gets good and adhered. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of double-sided tape and put that on the top of my envelope so that when I'm ready to mail this, I'll just be able to peel off that release paper and away you go. All right, so that's ready. And that's it. The envelope is complete. Super simple, super easy, extra stunning results. I mean, don't press too hard on your score marks and you won't have to crack the paper. All right, let's move along to this card base. This is going to be super simple. I'm not going to go anything over the top here. I'm going to grab my paper trimmer and I'm going to trim this piece down to 8 inches by 3 inches. I think it was 8 by 3, so that we have a nice border all the way around. And I'm going to add some adhesive to that and line it up as best I can on the center of my card base. And then that little strip that I cut off, I cut that little 1/4 inch strip off of my front panel. I'm going to glue that to the inside of the card. Then nothing's going to waste, and it ties everything together really nicely. The inside, the front, and the envelope are all connected. I think that's just absolutely gorgeous. This is a perfect card for, like, you know, money or a check or just something different. Okay, so I'm going to grab this Gina Designs set. I'm not sure of the name. I'll have it linked in the description down below if you're interested in it. I just really like the font in this set. I've had it for a little while and I've never used it, but I thought today would be the perfect opportunity. So I grabbed that little scrap that I had left over from cutting my card base, and I lined up my sentiment on an acrylic block, and I just rubbed the manufacturing residue really, really good. Like, I rubbed and rubbed. I edited most of that out so you didn't have to watch me rubbing that stamp, but I wanted to make sure I got a good transfer of ink. So I got some Gina Designs Moonlit Fog ink, which matches this paper perfectly. It's just absolutely perfect. This Moonlit Fog is such a funny color because depending on what type of paper it's up against, the hue really changes. It could be gray, it could be green, it could be steel blue. I mean, it's really cool. So I'm going to grab my paper trimmer and I'm going to trim up this Merry Christmas sentiment. I'm just using the guide, the little plastic guide, to help me cut straight edges all the way around so we have an even border. And then I'm going to use some of those scraps that I cut off from the sentiment, and I'm going to create like a little bit of dimension by just using those scraps. Then I don't ever have to buy foam squares and I don't have to worry about it getting crushed in the mail, and it looks wonderful. So I'm just going to apply some adhesive to this, pop this on the front of my card, and I'm going to call this card done. Super easy, nothing complicated about this project, but it's got a really stunning result. I think it's just gorgeous. And there's just so much going on with such a little amount of effort. And that's what I like. I like instant gratification. I want to make something and complete it. I'm not a knitter or, or embroidery or anything like that because it just takes too long. I just don't have the time or the energy for those types of projects. I like quick and simple, and I can feel accomplished. Okay, so that's it for today's video. Here's a close-up look at our finished card project. I really enjoyed making this quick little project for you, and this is going to be a perfect Christmas card. Take a look at some of the pattern papers in your stash and see if maybe you can pull together some gorgeous Christmas cards in minutes. Okay, thanks again for watching. Coming up on screen are a couple of videos I think you may enjoy. Have yourself a lovely day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!